Chapter 2, Salesman Parent. The skill of selling has overlapping qualities. With this in mind, we can move to learn more about the process of parenting. If someone did indeed have a universally applicable method for making an average parent a great parent, it would be learning the skill of sales. Parenting could be regarded as collective acts of persuasion. We can make our object A, in this case, being the optimal parent. Our object B would be learning to be a better salesman slash woman. There are so many books and opportunities to examine which have a positive effect on one's ability to sell. It has been said that the act of selling is a transfer of confidence. So, in effect, to become a better sales individual, learn to become confident. In the mechanics of perception, it is proposed that having the correct mission in itself will significantly raise one's confidence. Consider the following situation. You are a parent of a child. This child has grown to the age of 17, and the child seems to spend much of his time on the cell phone scrolling through social media. In the parent's eyes, this activity is not helping the child prepare for a fulfilling life. Now, if you recently gained access to this book, how could you use it to your advantage starting now? Before we go further, we need to make another educated assumption. Most humans are preoccupied with the process of rational self interest. Now, let's backtrack to the case of the 17-year-old who spends 5 hours per day scrolling through social media. With this in mind, we can safely assume that the 17-year-old who spends most of his waking hours scrolling through social media is under the impression that he is helping himself in some way by continually scrolling through social media. With these facts laid out, how can we proceed to solve this problem? How can we optimize the life of the 17-year-old in question? This is how the 17-year-old needs to be sold on the idea that the best way to help himself is to help others and pursue a philanthropic mission. Let's consider a concept which relates to this discussion, and it involves the process of stealing. Stealing is an act of taking without giving what is expected to be exchanged for the object in question. Why do people steal? Well, we can safely assume that people steal because they think they are helping themselves, since we agree that most human actions are motivated by rational self interest. In this book, we will analyze the unspoken message of our many actions. With this in mind, let us dissect the action of stealing and try to determine the side effects of the action. When someone steals, they are essentially affirming to the universe a vibration of lack. The act of stealing sends an unspoken message into the universe, which goes like this: I am incapable of creating wealth and resources on my own, and in order to compensate for my weakness and lack, I need to steal these objects. The 17-year-old who endlessly scrolls is not really engaged in the act of deliberately stealing, but it is related. It is a shortcut or an example of instant gratification. The stimulating images presented on the screen provide a feeling of satisfaction, but without any of the personal effort expended to acquire it. One way or another, the 17-year-old in question needs to be sold on the concept of making a philanthropic mission his number one priority. A parent who is confident and experienced in the mechanics of perception will surely find a way to lead the son in a better direction. This could start with exhibiting an influence of confidence by choosing to be relaxed when approaching the issue, and the unspoken message is, I am confident in my abilities and I know you have it within you, son, to accomplish greatness. So, an important first step is don't get angry. It has been said that the best warrior is never angry. A helpful next step would be to acquire more information. Ask the 17-year-old, is doing this helping you become the best version of yourself? And what do you like about the act of scrolling through social media? These questions come from a place of delicate patience and wisdom. They make the 17-year-old feel loved and respected, which will always be important and useful. In most cases, if someone is pursuing the right mission, they will be happy and fulfilled. If they are truly happy and fulfilled, in a healthy way, then by example, their children who wish to be happy should find their own way to emulate that state quite easily. Nordic naps. An underlying point made in this book is that many people in the world are already using mechanics of perception to improve the conditions of their livelihood. A practice in Nordic areas involving infants and their napping environment could have implications regarding long-term developmental outcomes in children. On a typical day, one can find a coffee shop in town within the country of Norway where mothers are gathered to share amongst each other stories and experiences relating to motherhood as a testament to the inherently low crime rate in countries such as this, and as well a method practiced by the mothers. A site can be seen where the outside wall of the coffee shop is lined with baby strollers. Thank you. Baby strollers where the infants slumber in the outdoors. The mothers inside are practicing a tradition of allowing their children to sleep outside. In this case, the mothers of the children are pursuing an object A. The object A in this scenario is a healthy baby and a future of their probable success when the baby reaches adulthood. Object B, the object B, is letting the baby sleep outside while they are young. Sleeping outside during the day can be seen as a way of fostering self-regulation and independence and conveying an appreciation of nature. Cited by Abels in 2021. Cited from Abels in 2021. In Norway, young adults leave their childhood household at an earlier age on average than many other countries in the world. Raising an independent and well developed individual from birth is a challenging prospect. By examining methods such as the ones used in Norway, parents can gain an edge and achieve their goal of raising successful and upstanding citizens. The power of perception is present in many of the practices we partake in and can be used to create realities we prefer. And then chapter 3 starts with tools. Tools of the trade is chapter 3. We'll get right to it in a second here. Okay, so chapter 3 is tools of the trade. There is an ongoing presumption regarding one's surroundings and the effect they have on an individual. This study of feng shui attempts to master this art and provide applicable direction in the area. In the mechanics of perception, the author attempts to re-emphasize many dynamics which have been already discovered while mixing in some hopefully original content, one of which is the concept of poster magic. We will go back to our common model of object A and object B. In the case of poster magic, we will make our object A that which we intend to obtain, a state of living which contains three things: love, health, and extra money. We will make object B our directed actions, the act of surrounding ourselves with certain posters or pictures. Let's make an educated assumption that the images we surround ourselves with have an effect on what materializes in our physical reality. If we would like to obtain more health, love, and money in our lives, let us do this and see what happens. Let's go to the poster store and buy 3 posters. Poster number 1 will be our health poster. This poster will be a picture of Arnold Schwarzenegger flexing and exhibiting his healthy physique. Poster number 2, our love poster, will be an image of family and love. One idea for a poster in this category is an image of a mother and father emperor penguin huddling over their small baby penguin offspring in a cold winter day. Poster number 3 is the money poster. And although a poster of a pile of cash may have a positive effect, an avid student in the mechanics of perception may feel there is a better option. How about an image of 2 hands shaking each other, which emulates partnership and co-creation? Or how about the image of the most inherently stable and strong shape known to man, the equilateral triangle with an ancient symbol of prosperity, the honeybee, poised within the center of the shape? Overall, money is a tool, and if the fulfillment of your philanthropic mission is the leading purpose of your life, then the tools or money necessary will appear with ease. An avid student in the mechanics of perception will have mastered the art of bending reality and find fun and effective ways to make things happen. The right amount. While figuring out the fun ways to get situations operating in an optimal state, we aim to gain skill in the art of asking for the right amount. Picture yourself going on a canoe trip through a winding river. You decide to bring a high powered motorboat to the trip. Because you expect to use this, it is a huge inconvenience for your friends. The high powered motorboat winds up getting damaged by hitting a rock on the bottom shallows. In this case, you brought too much strength and power to the trip. In life, we can hope for strength, but without a direct purpose, use, or goal in mind, it could be unpleasant to follow through on what the universe delivers in response to your hopes for strength. Do you think you are made strong by asking for strength? By asking for strength, you are given difficult circumstances to overcome. In overcoming difficult circumstances, you become strong. Being mindful of the right amount makes things easier for everyone and enhances your ability to maintain an objective mindset. Do yourself a favor when asking for money, strength, and insight. Learn to ask for the right amount in order to help crystallize your vision. Feng Shui vocabulary. Words have power. The words you choose to use are really words you are conditioned to use. Usually, there is no choice when it comes to what words we use, it is just what we are used to. So, let's get familiar with using the right words. This is a subject of state. Your energetic state, condition, or mood is affected by the words we use. Many of us don't realize it, but we can train ourselves to use the optimal words which are helpful. They maintain for ourselves a level of love and positive vibration. Here's an example of a commonly used word. The word is stupid. The author has seen it happen many times when the person driving a car gets mad while the author is in the passenger seat, while the driver remarks, that person ahead of us is so stupid. If we assume the words we use affect our condition, this is like a verbal feng shui. So replace the word stupid with unresourceful. It just feels more constructive. Here are some direct instructions to utilize verbal feng shui. Across is a list of commonly used words which are found to be unresourceful, and this is column A. Then in column B is the word to replace the word from column A. Take a deck of flashcards and write the word from column A on the front and write the relating word from column B on the back. Review the column A side and train yourself to automatically use the word from column B on a regular basis. Please review the table on the next page and feel free to create your own examples. So, this is what it looks like right here. Column A, column B, and stupid, angry, embarrassed, sad, sick. Okay. Okay, all those words you replace with these words. So you use, sorting thoughts instead of sad, use cleansing instead of sick, you use learning instead of wrong, prefer instead of hate. So that gives you an idea of how it looks. Positive memory journal. This concept is simple and self explanatory. Keep one notebook which only contains positive memories. Here's what happens. In life, many experiences happen to us without much expectation. Every day is a great gift and surprise. There surely exists men and women who have trouble falling asleep at night because they are so excited to wake up and live life the next day. It is important to keep track and safe store of these positive memories for two reasons. One reason is that we might forget the memories, and when we are able to pick up a book that contains all the positive highlights of our life in the past 5 years, it is an invigorating experience to review them. Also, as will be discussed further along in this book, it is a good idea to first create a safe place to put that which you hope to acquire more of. The act of creating a place to put positive memories significantly increases the likelihood that you will have positive memories to collect in the future. An example of a positive memory is a time when the multi-billion-dollar client hired us to deliver truckloads of material across a few state lines. While unloading at their certain facility, our trucker scraped a car parked in the lot. The car belonged to an employee of our client. The situation required attention. The main objective was to make the employee feel as if they were on a team and they would be taken care of. After becoming personally involved, it was easy enough to get the email address of the employee and ask about damages. The individual was friendly and thankfully she did not drive an expensive car. After asking how much money would cover the cost of repairs, the author doubled the amount she stated. It turned out that the check for $500 mailed to this employee was repaid to us one way or another over 100 times. The client proceeded over the next year to award us with millions of dollars of truckloads of material we were placed in charge to deliver. When the moment presented itself to correct errors and help the client, swift action was put in place to facilitate fairness and teamwork. Charity. Let us take some time to examine the act of charity. Charity is when one takes resources and shares them freely with others who are in need. What is the unspoken message emitted to the universe when someone commits an act of charity? The mechanics of perception suggests it goes something like this. I am capable and worthy of creating extra resources in my life. This is a profound message to send out into the universe, and it will produce a ripple effect in your life. It has been said that the universe is like a big copy machine. It really just gives you more of whatever energy level you are most often emulating. So if we emulate the vibration that says, I am capable and worthy of creating extra resources in my life, then we will attract circumstances which confirm that belief and allow us to easily create more resources. It may seem counterintuitive to give in order to receive. We may be tempted to cling to what we possess with the assumption we will have more of it by not letting go. But the mechanics of perception attempts to suggest that in the future and in the long run, you will only create more of what your energy vibration speaks. Ricky and Money Robots. There once was a time in the author's life about the year 2003. At this time, the author strongly felt it was a good idea to begin a lifelong journey of learning how to invest and read the stock market charts. The financial stock market charts and the ability to speculate and profit on the moves within them has been a long running activity in world history. Currencies, stocks, and commodities may always change in value and type. This uncertainty provides opportunity for those dedicated to learning the art of investing. In 2003, the author was no computer programmer, but knew that there were high level players in the system who were implementing financial robots. Long before the term artificial intelligence was a popular subject, the author had zero skill but only desire. He had little money, but did have the desire to be charitable and help the poor of the world if he was ever led to a state of abundance. It is probably true that most people just know out of the natural goodness of their hearts that it is overall beneficial to be charitable. So with this desire and belief active in his life, the author set out to acquire his own financial robots. It wasn't very long until he met Ricky from New Zealand. Ricky was a sheep shepherd who was seemingly challenged in ways when the author first met him. However, he held the keys to this one particular dream. He knew how to program financial robots. Now, here 20 years later, with the robots implemented and producing thousands of dollars in profit per day, what is the glue that held the partnership overseas together for 2 decades? And not only that, but allowed the pair to succeed in achieving a dream of building a financial robot which is capable of producing life changing money. In the mechanics of perception, the author shows you it was one thing made priority: charity, followed by a secondary element, trust, which formed the bond and helped the pair to grow and build together over 20 years. There were many hours spent working together, musing about what would be done with all the money. The author of this book helped with the mathematical concepts and plans while Ricky focused on the hard computer coding. The author and Ricky vividly remember humorously chatting online about how they would be dropping bags of money onto the poor people of the world from a helicopter once the robotic technology was optimized and operating. Yes, it was this leading charitable force and desire which kept them from giving up after failing and failing for years. Like Thomas Edison said regarding the invention of the light bulb, it is not that I found the light bulb, it is just that I found 1,000 ways which will not work. Yes, the motivational fuel acquired through charity first thinking is dense, slow burning, and long lasting. The charitable heart produces an intelligence which is superior to all other forms of intelligence. To this day, Ricky and the author are great friends who have committed much of their earnings to charity. They enjoy sharing jokes and experiences of the great outdoors and will likely be lifelong friends. The beauty of life lies in connections glued together with charitable desires. Lose yourself in the welfare of others, forget yourself in all that you do. This is the secret of abounding happiness, and those who have the most charity have the most truth. Heart and brain. Let's make a study of two important organs within the human body, heart and brain. The mechanics of perception asks you to consider the following propositions. In general, the brain simply regulates muscular contraction and relaxation. That is no small task. The human body contains about 600 muscles, cited from a government source in 2012, each of which can be contracted and relaxed with varying degrees of intensity for varying time frames. As a result of all these variables, the human brain is as large as it is. Furthermore, let us consider that if someone were to make decisions based on what their mind says, their decisions will be more than likely be directed toward feeding the muscles, hence acquiring resources and nutrition. This is a far cry from a divinely enlightened state and reaching our truest and highest potential as a human being. The heart is a different instrument all in itself. It doesn't control the movements of muscles, but it is responsible for their growth and overall health by pumping blood to them along with many other functions. The mechanics of perception suggests that there are two main modalities of decision making. There is mind oriented decision making and there is heart oriented decision making. Let us review a very generalized but useful timeline of world history as it relates to heart versus mind decision making processes. We start with the arrival of the European settlers upon Native American soil in North America, roughly in the year 1650. What collectively ensued was a battle between heart and mind decision making. The European settlers had one thing on their mind: commerce. They were there to clear the forests and set up shop. However, the early Native Americans were heart oriented and believed in a sacred connection to their surroundings. Their top priority was not to set up shop, it was to view everything as an extension of the force and to regard most everything as an opportunity to learn. Long story made short, in this scenario, the mind oriented decision makers had their way and established dominance. Was this a necessary sacrifice of the heart oriented natives in order to lay the foundation of a long term sustained existence of heart oriented living? We can only hope. Now, fast forward 100 years, and you have the American Revolution. In this case, the mind oriented structure was the British Empire. The empire's main objective was to set up shop. They wanted to collect taxes and keep the commerce trade machine running. However, man is not machine, and in this case, the heart oriented revolutionaries were willing to fight until the death to acquire their freedom. Their pursuit was noble, and in the end, they were successful. The heart oriented majority won its freedom for the time being. There are volumes written about all the details of the Revolutionary War. However, for the purpose of this book, let's just say it was a battle between heart oriented and mind oriented thinking, and the heart oriented won. Fast forward about another 100 years, we have the Civil War. The Civil War was also a battle between heart oriented humans and mind oriented humans. The dynamics of the Civil War was complicated, but for the purpose of this study, we just need to consider the generalized big picture. In the case of the Civil War, the South wanted to set up shop. They wanted to use the beating hearts of the African slaves as a machine to be torturously used as a tool for the production and acquisition of resources. The North was a brave group of heart oriented humans who vowed to fight for the freedom of humanity. To the North, the men, black or white, had beating hearts, and they believed in freedom. Somewhere deep within their soul, they drew the strength to fight for what was right, and they succeeded. Heart orientation won that battle for the time being. Now, fast forward about another 100 years. This brings us to World War II. The dynamics of this war were even more complicated than those of the Civil War, but yet a pattern emerges. The Nazi group had a motive. It was to secure their own modes of resource production. The Nazis said the Jews are not good for business and they must be exterminated. How underdeveloped it was to think in this way, but it did happen. The Russian fighters, mainly Russians who absorbed the main thrust of the Nazi war machine, cited from Roger Stone in 2012, along with others, fought against the Nazi to preserve the freedom of heart oriented decision making. In heart oriented thinking, it is okay to be temporarily unproductive, as productivity, as it relates to resource acquisition, is not the priority. It is authenticity and unity which we should aim to obtain. The side effect of unity and authenticity is prosperity beyond our comprehension. Now, fast forward another 100 years to the present day of about 2020, 2030. We may not be able to place our finger on it, but let us safely assume that there is some type of showdown between heart and mind decision making brewing under the surface. We have artificial intelligence and varying degrees of existential crisis apparently present in our society. As a wise man once said, errors recognized are more than half amended. The mechanics of perception attempts to uncover a pattern and shed some light onto the underlying dynamics and potential pitfalls of human existence. After all those years of bravery and divine intervention, one can see how it would be simply underwhelming and disenchanting if the world chose to live according to mind oriented agendas moving forward. The mediator between the head and the hands must be the heart. Cited from a film by Fritz Lang produced in 1927. Follow your heart. The mechanics of perception proposes a suggestion to the world. If object A is a world where we all live at peace with each other and share an abundance of prosperity, then object B is the modality of strictly using heart to make decisions. The brain may think, but when you turn your heart into an instrument of perception, it knows. From Dispenza in the year 2017. In order to proceed, the reader will need to consider the following assumptions. First, there is a unifying force of divine love and intelligence which has a mission to create a beautifully authentic and peacefully developed human race. Second, this force speaks to humans through the heart. Yes, the heart is like a radio transmitter of divine wisdom to us. The optimization step which this book proposes is the same to all humans. Follow your heart. Of course, skeptics will be quick to say when you ask everyone to do the same thing, failure is probable. So let us look at the second step, which is expected to be unique to each student of the mechanics of perception. Once we agree with ourselves to trust, be brave enough, and act when we feel our heart is telling us to do something, a beautiful effect takes place. This second step, this effect and direction, will be different for most human beings. Eventually, it will become quiet enough so that you can simply watch the heart begin to react and let go before the mind starts. At some point in the journey, it all becomes heart, not mind. You will see that the mind follows the heart, from Singer in 2007. On this heart-oriented journey, one may be inspired to visit their relatives or friends. Another may be inspired to engage in healthy self-love and get a massage at the mall. A poor development of our basic love, self-love, is usually the first cause of poverty of other loves and its consequent loneliness. Cited from Fromm in the year 1965, the ability to love. I have it on my shelf. Another may feel the inspiration to make a ham sandwich. If we all take the same first step, follow the heart, the second step will be a unified force of optimization. The task is to learn to interpret what the heart is trying to communicate to your mind at the time a decision is being made. quoted from Zayland, Transurfing Reality in 2001 or 2011. No matter the opposition or shape of our earth, we will overcome and succeed in achieving our highest potential when we consider these dynamics and test them to see their potential. Additionally, the more heart centered you are, the less likely you will react to stressors in your life. Quoted from Dispenza in 2017. A place to put things. There once was a time while working as the business manager for Beech Street Products in Langhorne, Pennsylvania, when the author was asked by a fellow coworker eager for development and growth. He asked, Chris, you seem to be really smart and good with business, and so can you give me any tips for success? The author thought a little and then replied, yes, focus on building a place to safely store the things you want. Practically speaking and specifically, get a file cabinet and stay organized was the message. The force likes to know its influence will be kept safe, and that happens when we are organized and maintain a healthy body. Consider the following example. You already know that owning real estate rental properties is usually a good way to build wealth, but you don't know the first step to take to acquire the right one. In the mechanics of perception, it is suggested to not only create a file cabinet to support organization, but to create a folder in the cabinet titled Real Estate Investments. It is suggested to do this when no real estate is owned, but the desire to acquire some exists. It may seem insignificant, but this act has vast implications and side effects which will conspire while you sleep to bring you the perfect real estate investment. Goal lists. Since we love self-improvement, let's get into the details of creating a goal list. First, let us understand that it is recommended to have a schedule or daily routine. As you move through life, like our golf swing, you can gradually add or remove small components to fine-tune your daily routine. Each day, you should review your goal list. How do you create good goals, and how do you achieve our goals? And how do we achieve our goals? As you may already know, avid student, the first step will be to create a goal list and read it daily. If achieving our goals is object A, then object B will be keeping a clear goal list and reviewing it daily. In a way, you don't need to stress. You may still be thinking how to do certain things. Don't worry about the how. It will be figured out through your subconscious. What you should focus on is developing a good mission, creating a goal list, and reviewing your goal list on a daily basis. Create a safe, clean, and ordered place for your goals. As you continually remind yourself of these goals, your subconscious will tick away and work day and night calculating the optimum route to the achievement of your goals. Have faith in this process to program your subconscious to achieve your goals. There is convincing proof that the so called subconscious mind is not a mind at all, but a mechanism of goal striving servo mechanism consisting of the brain and the nervous system, which is used by and directed by the mind. The latest and most usable concept is that man does not have two minds, but a mind or a consciousness which operates an automatic goal striving machine. This automatic goal striving machine functions very similarly to the way that electronic servo mechanisms function as far as basic principles are concerned, but it is much more marvelous, much more complex than any electronic brain or guided missile ever conceived by man. Cited from Maxwell Maltz, Psychocybernetics in the year 1960. Health. Let's talk a little bit about health and how it relates to the human body. Let's go over some things here. Yes, you can use the ideas as a general template or a stepping stone for your own practice, or copy them exactly. Either way, here it is. You will find that most successful individuals, not all, but most, engage in the daily vigorous exercise. They are at the gym 5 to 6 days per week. How you treat yourself is how the force will treat you. Arnold Schwarzenegger was in the gym religiously 6 days per week for years in a row in order to win the Mr. Olympia contests of the late 20th century. Michael Phelps did not have a day for 5 years where he didn't jump in the water and practice swimming and training leading up to the Olympics, where he won record-setting numbers of gold medals. Let's go over a workout routine which I would suggest for the average person who is looking to effectively push themselves to greatness. You wake up and you drink only filtered water, of course, It is necessary to use chlorine to initially clean water, but once it gets to your sink, please look into the research that supports the filtration of the sterilizing agent chlorine, Cl. You want to use filtered water in your shower and in your drinking water. So you wake up and you take a small drink of clean water and swish it around your mouth, and you rinse the teeth of bacteria and you swallow it and send it to your stomach. This is an ancient practice of enhancing the bacteria available to your digestive system. Now that you have done that, you take a hopefully organic lemon and squeeze the juice into a cup and mix it with your filtered water. You drink this and then do something else for 15 minutes. After 15 minutes have passed, you take out the juice machine of your choice and you take out of the refrigerator 2 bunches of organic celery. Thank goodness we live in this world where we can obtain such precious organic produce. You cut off the bottom inch of the 2 bunches, you spray them down with stalks with water to clean them off. Then you take a clean dry rag, rub the stalks before sending them into the juicing machine. You then proceed to juice these 2 bunches of celery stalks, and you should then create about 32 ounces of refreshing celery juice. You then drink the juice and clean off your juicing machine. After about 15 minutes since your consumption, you eat some organic raw honey. You tend to take your supplement bottles with the following titles: maca, Caulis forscali, lion's mane mushroom, chlorella, moringa, shilajit, acerola, tongatali, and you remove them from the bottle the amount of capsules of your choosing. You then place the pills in your pocket. You then go to the cabinet and get a bowl. You fill the bowl with organic cereal. You go to the refrigerator, always refrigerate your milk, and you fill the bowl with milk and cereal. You then eat the milk and cereal and wash down your supplement capsules with the remaining milk after eating the cereal. Okay, then you have made it thus far, looking good. You take 2 liters of your clean filtered water and then you go to the gym. You go to the gym and you first walk to the treadmill machine. You set the treadmill to 3 to 3.5 miles an hour speed with a 9 to 12% incline grade, and you walk for 10 to 12 minutes. You then proceed to your mat area or turf area and you do the following exercises in the following order: quad stretch 10 times each leg, knee tuck 10 times each leg, lunges 10 times each side, then hit the ground and do sit-ups with an upward hand reach until failure. And when you're stronger, you can hold a 5 to 10 pound dumbbells while doing them up in your hands, up in the air while you're doing the sit-ups. Then place your ankle on your opposing knee while doing crunches, 15 each side. You do 10 hip thrusts with your shoulders on the ground. You then do 20 windshield wipers with your legs bent. You then do 20 bicycle crunches and 10 Russian twists. You then do 10 Supermans with a reach behind the back and a 2.5 5-pound weights in each hand if you're stronger. You then do 30 reverse hyperextension leg lifts. You are 2/3 done. You then proceed to the weight area and work out one of the 4 areas: chest, shoulders, back, legs, on a continuous rotation. Work all chest in one day, and then the next day move the shoulders, the next day do back, and then the next day do legs. You can also mix in a day when you do only arms. Okay, then when you're done with this, when your 2 liters of water is gone and your shirt is soaked, then it is time to leave the gym. And then that brings us to the next section here, which is wear your seatbelt. And this is a cool section. So it goes, well, whatever. Maybe it's not cool, but it goes, wear your seatbelt. So you have just gone into your car. Your shirt is soaked with sweat, and you start the engine. Now what? You put on your seatbelt. Why should one wear a seatbelt? Let us examine the unspoken message when somebody wears a seatbelt or in general takes care of themselves. The unspoken message is this: I am valuable and important. I have unique value and creations to provide to the world. The world depends on me to exist. So then this is the case. We want to be valuable and important. Our object A is becoming valuable and important. The object B is wearing your seatbelt. Let the force conspire to bring into your life the circumstances and situations which will work to confirm this vibration. This is how the mechanics of perception works in your life to create your ultimate reality. That's how it is. So then, Filter Friends. Filter Friends LLC is a business which came to the mind of the author through meditation, a passion for chemistry, and regular practice of a success routine. In essence, the concept was a side effect of daily actions geared towards self love and helping others. Now, here's the main objective of this company. This is now a thriving organization which seeks to help others drink the cleanest water and breathe the cleanest air. In the beginning stages of its creation, there was really a trusting assumption that business will flow in a natural way. The first step was to file for the LLC and slap the company name and logo on the side of the daily driver car. Let us examine this process and its components. There is profoundly powerful energy emitted by the simple process of displaying the Filter Friends logo, which describes its services as water and air filtration. There is an incredible power invoked when we make ourselves available for work and willing to help others achieve a better life. What is the unspoken message when you faithfully create a business to help people live healthier lives and advertise with faith that business will come? The unspoken message is this: I have value to share with the world. You deserve the best air and the cleanest water. You are an amazing human capable of achieving greatness, and you deserve the best. Now, the author has this business which he was always passionate about for decades anyways, and he is pleasantly pursuing new business every day. It is a wonderful surprise and joy to see the side effects of the Filter Friends LLC organization and its service and intentions. And then the OptiRoute.cloud section, I'm just going to skip. It's about consulting. So the OptiRoute.cloud section essentially says you can identify two bodies, a body of students and then a body of educators, and then connect the two bodies. Essentially, set up be a broker of education and essentially set up a meeting between an individual that wants to teach and an individual who wants to learn. And you basically charge a little bit of money for your administration skills. So then, anyways, the next is visualizations here. In this section, we can review a few ideas as they relate to visualizations and meditation. Let's just get right into it and start to talk about a certain visualization practice with profound effects on external circumstances. The visualization meditation has four main parts. You can do this exercise wherever you are and when you have any free time. The process goes as follows. You say to yourself the following: I am love, I am light, I am abundance with all my might. There are four main sections: love, light, abundance, might. This is how you use the meditation. You visualize yourself doing these actions in your mind. You say to yourself, I am love. And when you say this to yourself, picture your hands over your heart and visualize the energetic field of your heart spreading out and over your surrounding area. Then you visualize yourself saying, I am light. And when you say this to yourself, picture yourself reaching your hands to the sky and breathing in the sunshine. The author has repeatedly heard from government bodies that the sun contains much more nutrients and power than vitamin D. Yeah, you can breathe it in. It's been advised in survival situations one can actually breathe in the sunshine and receive nutrients which will sustain life in the human body for an extended period of time. So then you say to yourself, I am light, for step 2. While you are saying this, you are visualizing yourself smiling with your hands up, stretched up to the sky, and your mouth breathing in the sunshine. Now we go to step 3. At step 3, you visualize yourself saying, I'm abundance. While you visualize yourself saying this, you also visualize your hands reaching above your head, forming an equilateral triangle with your fingers. Visualize above your head an equilateral triangle with a honeybee in the middle of it. This symbol has profound side effects, and you just have to trust that it will help attract more abundance in your life. Lastly, while you are visualizing your hands up in the air, you can visualize your hands coming down and around your whole body, down to your toes, forming the outline of a protective circle. While you are visualizing this motion, you might say to yourself, with all my might, I am love, I am light, I am abundance with all my might. You can do this repeatedly while you are sitting down on a commercial break while watching TV. You can do this while you are taking a walk in the woods. You can do it whenever you please, as long as it doesn't interfere with safety measures. And this exercise will train your subconscious, the goal achieving machine, to attract to you what you want. Additionally, the mechanics of perception would like to review an interesting concept as it relates to feng shui. Let's gather two items. The first is a statue of a bald eagle in action as if it is swooping down and just about to grasp a fish out of the water. These statues are available at a yard sale or online stores. The second item is movie production money. They have for sale on the internet money that looks like real money, but if you look closely, you can see written at the top, for motion picture use only. It is not legal tender, so don't try to use it for any purchases, but for this purpose, it is useful. So you get a few stacks fit from the internet, straps of $100 bills, and you form a nice little block of bills on top of your dresser in your room or some area where you frequent. This could be an office space or workout area. Then you place the statue of the bald eagle on top of the stack of money. This invokes energy. It may sound like illegitimate stuff that has no power, but you have the freedom and choice to decide for yourself. Choices are sacred. So every time you walk past this image and statue, you invoke the hunting power we all associate with the eagle, and then that energy is associated with the money. This is, of course, a way to create an instrument for attracting money into your life. This is just an idea that is nice to consider and see what you can make of it. SBM triangle. There are ways to enhance one's ability to self improve and stay organized. Let's just casually review a tool developed by the mechanics of perception. This is called the SBM triangle, pictured on the next page. And the SBM triangle, I'll show up, you can see it. It looks like this. SBM. In general, as we approach the task of self improvement, we can adopt methodology and instruments which will help along the way. It is a straightforward explanation regarding the SBM triangle. Essentially, divide the task of your self improvement into three categories: S, which is represented by spirit, B, which is represented by body, and M, which is represented by mind. So, in order to organize the task and keep the stress level to a minimum as you go through life improving, mechanics of perception suggests you focus on just one part of the SBM triangle at a time. While driving to your gym, you plan to enhance the B, body. While you are reading a book or studying a documentary, you are improving in the section of M, mind. As you work at the local soup kitchen helping those without a home get food, you are working on the S, spirit section of the triangle. There it is, a simple tool of the trade in your quest for self improvement. If you have time to review the supplementary materials section in the rear of this book, it is divided into these three sections. Each section contains materials which is worth further investigation on your journey. Mother bear hypothesis. There exists within the anatomy of bears an ability to protect their young. Bears are notorious for becoming very active and seemingly enraged when a potential threat gets too close to a mother bear's cubs. Now, what if we decide to envision this power to protect, a mode which all animals, including humans, possess to an extent which can be accessed? Where does this all lead? Let's create a situation where an individual is powerless over a bad habit or addiction. In the spirit of trying to have this individual solve their own problems by looking within themselves, one could ask, can you see your children or hypothetical children in your mind? And while doing so, mix in the thought of you partaking in this detrimental habit. A reasonable individual we can hope to expect will become motivated to protect, provide, and improve after giving thought to their children. While this sense of inspiration is present, one could summon the strength to say no to a negative habit. With this in mind, one can easily take care of what they presently have and empower themselves to make further virtuous adjustments. Chicago Catalyst. The story of Michael Jordan and how he was able to bend his own reality and use what he had to make the best situation he could is one worth review. The profound lesson we uncover while studying his career is that the perception of your surroundings is more important than what your surroundings actually are. When Jordan joined the 1984 Chicago Bulls, the team was in search of a hero, and the players were involved with activities which may not be categorized as totally beneficial to their athletic performance. Cited from Hire in the year 2020, Jordan was presented with a choice to join in with this behavior or be a source of change and strength. He drilled down his team's goals and performance plans. He was able to turn that team into a championship team based on his will and determination. It is inspiring to see how Jordan was not afraid to get into the middle of a challenging situation and be a catalyst for positivity. The truly brave workers for good are motivated to have a positive effect on their surroundings. The record of the Bulls is now a reference to the power of choosing to work hard and be a source of inspiration where there seems to be no such thing. Chapter 4, Conclusion. If you're not prepared to take action to acquire what you want, you will not get it. A poor person usually does not take action because of their own conviction that the fulfillment of their desire is not realistic. Quoted from Zayland in 2011. Hopefully, after reviewing the mechanics of perception, the reader feels like he or she has learned something new and is ready to explore their potential. Hopefully, the reader does now feel as if it is realistic to strive to achieve one's highest potential and dreams. The reason this book is so short is because it is the author's intention that the book be read by the most amount of individuals possible. It is the true intention of the author to leave the world a better place than he found it. It is the goal of the mechanics of perception to present the reader with ideas which will stir up the innate genius within each human being. Each of us is a uniquely beautiful problem-solving entity. If you can learn enough to get past the stage of lessons and solve your own problems, then you can upgrade to a level of honorable duty, solving the problems of others. When you pass from this earth, your life will be remembered as a beacon of hope, as a pyramid in the desert. You can become someone who is attractive, happy, and wealthy by using the mechanics of perception to enhance your experience. Also, if at some point in another life you find yourself living as a rabbit in the woods who wants a carrot, you may be lucky enough to use the mechanics of perception to gain what you want. Carrots are the product of gardening, not steel traps. A carrot in a trap is not a carrot, but an opportunity to learn. Let all of your blockages and disturbances become the fuel for the journey. Quoted from Singer in 2007. Let's overlook this initially enticing opportunity of free food in a trap and learn how to be a gardener instead, a gardener of our soul and the souls of others who wish to walk with us in the eternally joyous experience of life. And then book 2 starts in the future.